So just picked up a 7-bolt motor from Andy that had bent valves. I guess the previous owner didn't time it correctly, went to start it, bent the valves, and it was part of this project car that Andy had that he got rid of. And so he donated it to me, and we're going to tear it apart, probably use that bottom end as long as everything looks good, and the head that's currently on the GST, and put all that together, maybe throw some head studs in it, maybe a set of cams, and we'll see if we can get that running within the next maybe week or so. So we just picked it up, heading back to the house. We are going to get it in the garage, get it warmed up, and start tearing it down and see what we find. Okay, so here's the block. You can kind of see where the valves hit the pistons when they're trying to crank it over. So we're definitely gonna tear it apart, take a look at that. There's also kind of, I don't know if you guys can see that right there, there's a little nick in one of the pistons. Kind of want to take it out and see how bad that is. But other than that, I guess it was a good bottom end. We'll check the bearings. And then we also got the head here. It's got bent valves, and we just don't even really want to mess with it right now. So I got the bottom end, started to tear it down, pulled the oil pan off, pulled the bed plate off, wanted to check the bearings. Everything seemed fine. The rods didn't seem to be moving, and there wasn't any play in them or anything. There wasn't any play in the crank. But better safe than sorry, I took the bed plate off, and it looks like this center main right here was actually starting to wear. It doesn't look like it was big enough to actually start causing engine noise, but there's definitely some wear there. Here, I'll show you the bearing. Here's the bearing, and you can see that most of the babbitt is worn down. There's a little groove right here in the center too. So the thrust surfaces look to be okay. So it hadn't gotten to the point of what you call crank walking, where the crank's moving back and forth. But just to be safe, we're going to tear the rest of the bottom end apart and replace the main bearings, replace the rod bearings, probably replace that one piston that had the notch in it, and put new gaskets on, kind of clean up the block a little bit. As I was tearing it apart, what appeared to have happened was the balance shaft belt snapped and wadded itself up and took out the crank, or took out the timing belt, and that's kind of what caused the initial problem. It looked like this motor might have just had a head gasket done too. The gasket itself was actually still pretty new, and it was a Felpro. So but yeah, we'll get new bearings, get this torn apart, double check everything, maybe even block off the oil squirters that are on the back side of the main bearing galley, or the main bearing supports here. And yeah, we'll go from there, get her back together, and take the head off the other motor, toss her on this one, and see what she'll do.